We got one more video today. Conch with $24 already. Thank you so much.
Chytrid fungus is a microscopic amphibian pathogen. It's one of the first wildlife diseases that has truly gone global by the time we knew it existed. One of the greatest issues with chytrid that makes it so severe as far as conservation is that it can affect nearly any amphibian species. So of the 7,000 known species of amphibians, any one of those could potentially go extinct from this single pathogen. And it's alarming to watch these frogs disappear. We have established the Honduras Amphibian Rescue and Conservation Center, a head start and captive breeding program. What that means is that there are certain life stages of the frogs that seem to be more susceptible to dying from chytrid, and that's the tadpoles and the metamorphs. From the long-term work that we've done in Casuco, we've noticed that once they become adults, the few that do survive are then resistant. So the activities that we're doing here at HARC is basically removing the weakest animals from the park, which are the young animals. Bring them here to our facility at Lancetia, cure them of chytrid, which can be done in captivity, and then raise them until they're adults. And then reintroduce those animals back into Casuco so they can become part of their ecosystem once again. In my opinion right now, the best long-term solution is to find a way to have these frogs continue to exist in their natural habitats and to continue breeding on their own and creating offspring which potentially may become subject to natural selection and hopefully evolve their own resistance. Although the young ones will still be susceptible, there will be many more of them around. So a minimally invasive method of assisting evolution and letting it take its course, but by providing it animals to work with. Doing something about chytrid means applying the science that we know and taking some risks. We don't have a template to work from. You know, this has never been done before. And that's part of the reason why we have to take risks and why it's more difficult and complex and challenging, is that we can't prove to people that what we're doing is gonna work or it's gonna fix things, because this is a new territory. And all we know are the consequences of inaction. And that if we don't do something, we're gonna have a lot of problems.
All right. Welcome to the rebrand of the podcast where I still don't unmute to start. Danny with $12, Warber with $20, Aimbot with $2, Natchster with $100, Crowway with $10, and Smile with $1. Thank you so much. $169, Jude with $20, Frogs. New alerts look super good. We got some big time stuff going on today, chat. Welcome back to the podcast. It's been a couple weeks. Loco, thank you for the $100. Koopa with the $77. Let's go, dude. Oh my gosh. Danza with $25. James Harden with $10. I haven't even told y'all about the organization or who we're talking to. Those videos were that good though. Those videos are super, super well done. If you want to see more videos, they have a YouTube channel called Amphibian and Reptile Conservation. And it's this. And all of their videos are super, super high quality if you want to check them out. Guys, thank you for the donations today. Logan with the $20. Look at these new alerts. Loch Ness with the new alerts. We have a whole rebrand of the podcast. If you guys noticed our new intro screen today, holy cow. Mac with $10, Monkaroo with $100, and Cal with $20. Sketty with $5, Blaze with $15. We hit our $500 goal. That has to be a new record. I know we hit goals really fast, but before I even talk about the organization, that's insane. That's insane. I missed 77. No, I said Koopa. with the 77. Yeah. All right. Rodney with the 5. Thank you so much. These alerts are behind, but they're going to be catching up so you can admire how beautiful they are because Locke has updated these alerts. We have a whole rebrand of the podcast today. If you guys noticed our new intro screen, beautiful, right? The overlay for the podcast itself is also different. Both of those thanks to the newest member of our podcast team. You guys know that I've been building and adding to that team. Everybody say, people clap, welcome to Dion. Dionysus is now on the podcast team. You guys probably all know him. He's been around. He does fantastic work for Matt. He does fantastic work for me. He's done emotes for me, and he's just wonderful at animations, and you guys will see that in the new podcast overlay. I'm super, super pleased with it and really excited to show you guys. So we're back after a couple weeks for the rebrand to talk to Dr. Jonathan Kolby, Miggy with $10, Zasa with $50. Thank you so much. We're speaking today with Dr. Jonathan Kolby. He got his PhD from James Cook University, specializing in the global spread of amphibian pathogens. So you guys watched it in that video today. One of my favorite things about this podcast is bringing in those species that don't get a lot of attention in conservation. Amphibians is definitely one of those. And chytrid, like you guys saw in the video, we'll talk to him a lot about it today, but it's one of those things that it's just a crisis that not a lot of people know about, me included. So I'm really glad to be able to bring that to the podcast today. Emla, thank you for the $10. The Art, thank you for $15. $662.12. Dr. Kolby started HARC in 2008 after discovering chytrid fungus in the Kasuko National Park during his project as a National Geographic Young Explorer. So we've talked about Nat Geo folks before. He can tell you guys a little bit about that if you're curious. Cindy, thank you for the $10. So he started HARC, H-A-R-C-C. That is the Honduras Amphibian Rescue and Conservation Center. They have 2 main objectives: to keep 3 critically endangered frog species in the Kasuko National Park safe. We'll talk about those species, but their objectives are to head start a program where they collect young frogs that would normally die from chytrid. They raise them up, cure them of their chytrid, and then release them as adults. Aimbot, thank you for the $3. Thank you for gifting a sub. And then the second part of their organization is a captive assurance program where they maintain a captive breeding colony of frogs. So it allows them to continue releasing frogs even if a sudden extinction event occurs. So very, very important work that they're doing. Amphibians are a really underrepresented, underappreciated category of animals, and one that really, really need our attention in conservation today. So our money, the donations today, is going to HARC. Their PayPal is linked up, so it'll go directly to them. We're already at $675.12. Thank you so much for your donations. I'm super excited. Dr. Kolby is super, super nice. I think you guys will like him a lot. He's got great energy. I talked to him in the test call today. Very passionate, very excited about what he does. If you have questions for Dr. Kolby, Pyro, thank you for the $10. If you have questions for Dr. Kolby, you can do #ask, and it will take you to a bot. It'll send it into a document for me so I can read the question. There are a couple good examples in chat there. If you're new here, just #ask followed by your question. Nothing fancy, nothing beyond that. Chateau with $25. Thank you so much. Feel free to ask questions if you have questions about frogs, about amphibians, about his background, about whatever you want. Those questions are filtered, so don't waste your time. Other logistical things for the podcast. I will be doing a quiz at the end of the podcast as we normally do. So there's a quiz at the end based off my conversation with Dr. Kolby. 5 questions, 20 seconds a question. You get the most points based on how many of those questions you get correct and how fast you get them. So you need to click them really fast. I'll give you more instructions as we close up at the end of the podcast. But if you win the quiz, if you're not already subbed to my channel, I will gift you a sub to my channel. If you are already subbed, you can either tell me in chat if you want a gifted sub to any other channel on Twitch, I will gift it to you, or you can ask me to donate an additional $5 to HARC today. Earth Eclipse with $20. Thank you so much. All right, he's going to be so excited about this. I'm so excited to call him. Am I missing anything? I know it's been a couple weeks. Is that all the things that I usually say at the beginning of the podcast? I introduced him. I introduced the organization. Shut up, Leonard, with $20. Thank you so much. No, I think we're good. Okay, great. 2:15 on the dot. Perfect. So I'm going to call him back. Give me a second here. I will be back with Dr. Kolby in about a minute. All right, hold on. You guys ready for the new overlay? I'm so excited. Hello.
Hello.
All right, hold on. Let me switch it here. Okay, let me change this. All right. I think we're good. We're all set. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the podcast. We have a bit of a rebrand, so everybody's very excited about our new graphics here. Guys, it looks great, right? Good job, Dionysus. I'm super pleased with this. Thank you so much for coming on. I did a short introduction at the beginning, and they really liked those videos that I told you I was gonna play. We've already raised $761 before I've even started talking to you. So that's all gone straight to you. But welcome to the podcast. If you could introduce yourself and then talk a little bit about Hark, that would be wonderful.
Sure. Well, thanks everyone. I'm so excited to be here, and thanks for your donations. That's incredible. I was already texting my frog partner saying, "You've already donated. We're not even here yet." Yeah. So my name is Jonathan Kolby, and what Maya was talking about was a frog conservation project called the Honduras Amphibian Rescue and Conservation Center, where myself and my teammates are doing our best to set up a program where we can save some frogs from extinction from a really awful disease caused by something called chytrid fungus that I will certainly be talking more about during this presentation.
Awesome. Matthew with $11.21. Thank you so much. We're at $761.33. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, so you started Hark in 2008, right? I think it'd be a good...
Yeah, so...
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think it'd be a good place to start by telling everybody what chytrid fungus is and why it's so much of an issue.
Yeah, of course. And also, like Maya said, I love your questions afterwards, so by all means, shoot your questions. So, chytrid fungus. As you may or may not know, there's a lot of diseases in the world. Especially now with COVID and everything, it's, being talked about more. Mm-hmm. We don't often talk about diseases that are naturally in animals. And this is a fungus. So some things that make you sick are actually fungi. Mm-hmm. And this one in particular, called amphibian chytrid fungus, lives in the water or in the moist soil. And it actually has spores. So it spreads through spores. But they have a tail. They have a little flagellum, a tail. And they can swim through the water, which I think is mind-blowing, because it's almost like, you think it's almost like an animal because it's moving, but mm-hmm. it's a fungus. Until it hits an amphibian, and it latches on, burrows into its skin, and goes a few layers down in the skin to the place where it produces keratin. Keratin is the stuff that makes up your fingernails and your hair. but for some reason it loves keratin in an amphibian. And that's where it sets up shop and creates its home and starts growing. And the problem with this is that when it grows in the skin, an amphibian is so dependent on a healthy skin because you know how they're kind of slimy and permeable. It's vital for exchange of gas and liquids and chemicals and for breathing and for all of its internal processes. So when you have this fungus growing on the skin, it makes it not be able to shed properly.
Okay.
And when the skin gets all clogged and broken, essentially, long story short, it causes tiny frog heart attacks and the animal dies. And as it's sick and as it's dying, the fungus growing in its skin keeps releasing more spores into the environment all around it. So you just have these really infected habitats where the cycle just keeps repeating itself over and over and over.
Right.
And the reason this is such a problem is because you have a lot of frog populations that are already fairly small or cut off or fragmented because of habitat destruction. And now you have this awful disease that arrives and can just knock out a population or a species. And it's a really big challenge to combat.
Okay. We got a couple more donations, a couple more decent sized donations. So Rigby, Tara, thank you, Zasa, Dom. So we're at $911. We're almost at our $1,000 goal. And Nim hosted our channel too with 1,900 viewers. So we have a lot more people hanging out here right now.
Thanks.
Just for everybody that's just showing up, this is the Conservation Cast. So we talk to biologists, ecologists, lots of different people that run lots of organizations about different species. Today we're talking to Dr. Jonathan Kolby, who founded the Honduras Amphibian Rescue and Conservation Center. So we're talking about amphibians, frogs today. And the donations that are made today are going directly to that organization, to HARC. So you can do Command.org if you'd like to be taken to their website if you want to know more. Command Guest if you'd like to see Dr. Kolby's socials. So there you go. There's our spiel. All right. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Okay. So chytrid also, it affects more than just frogs, right? But you guys mostly focus on frogs?
Right. So generally speaking, chytrid fungus, and by the way, I will mention, just to back up a step, when we talk about chytrid fungus, there are actually hundreds of species of chytrid fungus in the environment. And most of them are really beneficial and important because they break down inorganic matter. So let's say you see a rotting log or like dead flowers with pollen. You have all these bacteria and microorganisms that need to break these things down. So you don't just have a pile of, dead trees in the forest. Right. Yeah. But you have a couple species of chytrid fungus, this one in particular called amphibian chytrid fungus, which attacks something that's still alive, and it happens to be a frog.
Right.
And so it's a really unique situation. But just to be scientifically accurate, not all chytrid fungi are bad, but these ones that attack living animals are really devastating. And so yes, as you mentioned, it doesn't just affect frogs. It is a general amphibian pathogen, meaning it can also affect salamanders and also these really unique amphibians called caecilians. So basically what we have is a single disease that can infect an entire class of animals that contains almost 8,000 species. And to put that somewhat into human perspectives, that would almost be like if you were to say that one single disease could infect any mammal, in the class mammal. And we've got, between like 5,500 and 6,000 species of mammal. So that would be saying, well, what if a mouse could sneeze on you and give you something that would kill you, and you could sneeze on your cat and it would kill your cat? It's that, to me, mind-blowing of a disease that it could affect any amphibian. And it doesn't necessarily mean it will kill all amphibians. Every animal is different. Every species is different. And that's why it's so hard to wrestle with this. There's so many unknown variables. But generally speaking, an amphibian exposed and infected by chytrid fungus is not going to have a good time.
Right.
If it survives.
Okay. And then I think a lot of people already think that lots of amphibians are really cool, but besides that, why is it important that we protect amphibians? Why is their conservation important?
I have a lot of different answers to that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so some are my answers for me personally, some are for, the people at large. But, normally people want to hear, why does it matter to me?
Right.
How does it affect my life?
Mm-hmm.
How does it affect my business? And I mean, those aren't necessarily my reasons. I just deeply believe that they're just such amazing animals. They have a really important place in the world. They do so many important functions that affect other animals. But I understand that people also need to know, well, why should it matter to me
Right.
personally if I don't like frogs? I mean, everyone has their own right to their own feeling and opinion. But there are a lot of reasons why you should care and why it does matter, and it does affect all of us personally sooner or later. And that varies from things to public health. You might not think of frogs as affecting the way people get diseases, but there are so many areas in the world, especially in the tropics, where there are a lot of diseases that are spread by insects.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we're talking things like malaria,
Right.
Zika, dengue, and not having animals to control those insect populations will and do affect the health of people.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a press release I saw come out a couple days ago by one of the first really good studies showing a very conclusive link between the rise of malaria in Central America um, over the past few decades, which
Mm-hmm.
coincided with frogs disappearing.
Right.
So I mean that affects all of us, and also, frogs not only eat a lot of insects, but because frogs and salamanders are so abundant in the right habitats, it also means there's a lot of animals that are eating them. So they themselves provide a lot of food for lots of animals.
Right.
And even though you might not care about frogs, you might care about birds or mammals or something else that depends on eating things like frogs.
Yeah.
Which, if the frogs disappear, well, then those animals start to disappear. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of knock-on effects. And then lastly, you may or may not have heard a lot of people talk about frogs and amphibians as canaries in the coal mines and environmental indicators.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because, as I mentioned earlier, their skin is so important to their survival that it's kept healthy and clean, because most of them live part of their life in the water and part of their life on the land. And because they're exposed to both of these environments, and their skin is so, easy for things to cross through, they're often the first ones to succumb to things like pollution and climate change and other things that may eventually negatively impact us.
Right.
So when things like amphibians start disappearing, we should be worried.
Right. Koopa tipped $77, which brought us to
Oh,
$999.10. We are so close.
thanks.
Zasa tipped $10. So now we hit over 1K. $1,009. Thank you guys so much.
Amazing.
Again, your donations are going straight to Hark today. Their PayPal's attached. So thank you for your donations. You brought up climate change. That's a good segue to start our question portion here. Side Ramen asked, does climate change amplify the threat of chytrid fungus, or are they separate issues?
Well, it definitely makes things more complicated.
Okay.
There's a lot of things we don't understand about exactly what cause and effect, and there's so many variables. But one thing we can say is that, yes, climate change is changing the environment, and that will have an effect both on chytrid fungus, but also on the animals. And in some places, it might make the disease worse. In some places, it might make it less worse. But there is a predominant belief in the field that that climate change is potentially expanding the amount of the world where this disease will thrive really well in.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing about this fungus is that it needs moist environments, but also cool environments. And the way that climate changes in the rainforest and on the mountains, it may be expanding, how much of the mountain, let's say, the disease could be replicating faster in. So we don't know 100%
Mm-hmm.
what the exact effect is, but it probably isn't good.
Okay. Good question. Thank you, Raman, for asking that. Another question we have here, I should have clarified this in the beginning. Max asked, are amphibians and reptiles related in any sort of way? Or are they completely different in terms of their biology?
They are quite different. You know, we think of reptiles and amphibians kind of side by side. They're kind of grouped together in
Mm.
herpetology. But biologically and you know morphologically and everything else, they're quite different. And I mean, generally, you've got your wet-skinned, water-associated amphibians, and then you've got your scaly, tougher, more durable reptiles that
Mm.
can be found in a wider range of habitats, generally speaking. Um, so yeah, they're quite different, but we do talk about them together sometimes.
Cool. I was gonna ask you this at the beginning, but I forgot. Have you always been into amphibians, reptiles, or how did you fall into all of this?
Yeah, I was definitely one of those kids that just always had the fascination.
Uh huh.
They just mystify me, and just the diversity and just seeing them in the wild, and especially snakes. I mean,
Nice.
a few things are exciting as seeing a snake in the wild, but as far as frogs specifically, a lot of people ask me about, oh, have you always been a frog fanatic? And I mean, to be 100% honest, no. I used to be a little bit more towards
Uh
geckos,
huh.
but it was about 15 years ago when I started doing research in Honduras, um, and was about to go back a second time. I was volunteering with a conservation group called Operational Alcia, and I was helping them with some reptile and amphibian surveys. And it was my second time going back when I was trying to learn more about what were these amazing frogs I saw the year before,
Uh huh.
and I was trying to learn more about them. And I was reading some conservation assessments from the IUCN Red List that I was really surprised that some of these frogs were said to be critically endangered and disappearing for unknown reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And they were only known from this one mountaintop.
Right.
And that just really started blowing my mind because the rainforest was amazing. Like, why would these animals be disappearing? And it was right at that same time when I learned about chytrid fungus and what it was and what it was doing, and that often a smoking gun for the presence of this disease is you have this amazing habitat and the animals just start disappearing.
Right.
And so that was when I was fortunate enough to get some support from National Geographic to do one of my first personal studies out there to see if this might be related to this event. And it was. And that was kind of the point in my life when I had to decide, am I gonna hunker down in this one place and like really try to be that person for the frogs, or am I gonna kind of keep going to different countries, looking at different things? And I decided, no, I think the frogs need a little more help, a little more voice, a little more attention,
Yeah.
and that's what made me a frog person.
Very
They,
cool.
they they need more frog people.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's again, I mentioned it on our test call, but that's why I'm so glad you're here today so we can talk about them. Um, XZ tipped $500. Zasa tipped
What?
$7. Natchter tipped another $77.77. Sai tipped $1.50. Raptor with $5. And Zas with $10. So we're at $1,601.10.
You guys are amazing.
XZ with a huge $500 donation. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. I'm kind of the same way. I'm a big bird person, but I was never really interested in them until I was in college. I thought I was into mammals, but turns out birds. Anyway, okay. So we have lots of
Fair
other
enough.
questions. Here's a couple more basic questions. Hank asks, "Do frogs have ears?"
Yes. Well, I mean, yes, they're called tympanums,
Mm-hmm.
but they are ears. And it's the part of a frog when you look at a frog on the side and you see like on the side of its face, imagine where you would expect to see an ear,
Mm-hmm.
but you sometimes will just see a circle.
Yep.
That's the tympanum. And you can almost think of it as, well, inside our ears, we have like a membrane that vibrates that helps us hear. That's basically what you're seeing on the outside of the frog.
Cool.
But yeah, that is their little hearing device.
All right.
And you can't see it on all frogs. Like some frogs, it's hidden under a fold of skin.
Mm-hmm.
But on a lot of frogs, it's pretty visible.
Yeah, very cool. Alec tipped $5. Thank you. Another question that I've seen a couple times come up is Dixie asked, "What's the difference between frogs and toads?" I bet you get that a lot.
Yeah. So to be scientifically precise, all toads are frogs, Not all frogs are toads.
Okay.
So technically frogs are everything you think of a frog and a toad is in the group called frogs.
Okay.
And then there's different groups within that. And one of the groups in that are toads, which are generally drier skinned, bumpier skinned, can be found a bit further from water. Yeah. It's similar to talking about turtles and tortoises, which is something else I've been working on recently.
Oh, cool.
So, all tortoises are turtles, but not all turtles are tortoises. Yeah, so you can impress your friends with that.
Are turtles, but not all. Yes. Okay. Got it. Thank you for that question. I know a lot of you asked that. Let's see. A couple good questions for the end here. Alex asked, can you talk about being a National Geographic Young Explorer? What is that program like?
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. I think it's something most people should look into. First off, when I got it, it was called the National Geographic Young Explorer Program. Mm-hmm. They've since changed the name, and it's now, I believe, called an Early Career Grant. Okay. Because there used to be an age limit. I think back in the day it was 25 or 26. It was for people that were younger starting research. But now they've taken that age restriction off. So you can be a little bit older, but as long as you're near the beginning of your career, you're eligible. And essentially, it's a grant program that really favors taking a risk on people that might have a hard time competing for larger grants against established professors, for example. So I was lucky enough to be awarded a small grant to put towards one of my first disease surveys. And it was incredibly helpful. And yeah, I think it's a really good thing for people to know about. You can find it, just, go online and Google National Geographic Early Career Grant, and you'll find a page of information that explains, how to apply for that and what the requirements are. Awesome. I think some of the grant programs are paused at the moment because of COVID and, everything going on, but definitely look into it.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, we've had a couple guests on here that have been supported by National Geographic. They seem to do a lot of really good stuff out there. Zasatip, $49.73. Razor with $20. SJ with $5. Alec with $5.
Thanks.
$1,680. Thank you guys so much. Let's
see. Thank you.
So many questions. I'm trying to figure out what the best ones to ask are. I know you guys are welcome to ask as many as you want. I will tell you now that we won't get to all of them, but I do appreciate you asking them. There are a lot of really good ones. Okay, let's see. Here's a tough. Can I ask you kind of a tough question? But it's probably important.
Absolutely.
All right. So Wooded said, why is it people's responsibility to protect these frogs from a natural virus? By protecting these frogs, are we interrupting nature and natural selection?
Great question. So, the whole issue is a lot more complicated than what I described succinctly here. Mm-hmm. In a nutshell, the reason why I believe this is our problem to fix is because essentially we caused it. So, yes, this chytrid fungus is something that has always existed. Mm-hmm. It's been around the world for a very long time. For a long time, what we didn't understand was why was it that if this thing is so deadly and it's been around, frogs didn't start getting sick and dying until around the 60s and 70s. And then it started getting really bad really fast. Mm-hmm. And, we've been studying this for over 20 years now. There's still a lot of questions. But the one thing that's almost certain that we believe has happened is that through human activity, especially through the frog trade, we trade millions of frogs around the world every year. Most people have no idea. Right. But even the United States, for example, it's not uncommon for us to import about 5 million live frogs every year. Half of those are because people eat them. Half of them are for pets and research and other reasons. What we didn't realize we were doing is we were moving this disease with the frogs. And like I said, frogs weren't dying a long time ago, but that's because the animals where it was were used to it. And over time, the chytrid fungus slightly changed in different countries because it was stuck there for a very long time. Mm-hmm. So the animal became accustomed to it. It had a little bit of a defense to it. Now, when we brought all these animals together and started mixing them around, chytrid fungus from 2 different places in the world came together and it hybridized,
Mm-hmm.
and it caused an offspring that was super deadly compared to both parents.
Oh.
And that is the chytrid fungus that we talk about today. When we talk about amphibian chytrid fungus and amphibian extinction, it's this nasty hybrid strain, which then exploded, went global, and that's what is killing things now.
Right.
So you can still find different strains around the world, and there are some that don't seem to be killing frogs as much as other strains. But by far and large, this is something that we accidentally created because we didn't know it was happening.
Right. So then so I know what you guys do, and we talked about that a little bit. So then how do you mitigate that? Just reduce wildlife trade. You guys raise up the frogs.
So yeah, so that's something else I've been working on for quite a long time, and that was a large focus in my PhD work was, firstly understanding how much of this did we cause, how much of this is our fault,
Mm-hmm.
and secondly, what can we do about it? What are the points at which we can stop this from happening over and over and over again? And it's hard not to keep coming back to the international wildlife trade. And that's not to say that wildlife trade is bad. That's not to say that having pets is bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that we need to be more careful. And there are lots of things that can be done, both with regulation and policy and the government, and everything down to how you keep your pets at home and how you clean the tanks, that can help slow or prevent the spread of disease.
Right.
So in the big picture, we need to address that. These are things that you don't normally realize, but they're done for livestock every day.
Mm-hmm.
We have cows and chickens and other animals that are moving between countries, and there's lots of checks and balances which allow the trade to continue,
Mm-hmm.
but it stops these nasty outbreaks. But we don't have any of those regulations for wildlife, and that's a big problem.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Health points to $10, napping with $10, Micah with $2.98. Thank you guys so much. That got us to $1,700. Monkaroo tipped $100 again.
Oh,
So $1,800. Thank you so
wow!
much.
Thank you.
Here's an interesting question, and I have no idea what the answer is. Respo asked, how many kinds of frogs are there?
So there are approximately 8,000 species of amphibians.
Okay.
Frogs make up about, I'd say, a little over 7,000 of that.
Wow.
So about 7,500 species of the 8,000 are frogs and toads,
Okay.
and you have about 600 species of salamanders,
Uh-huh.
and a few dozen species of caecilians.
Okay.
But by far and large, most of our amphibians in the world are frogs and toads.
All right. Alex, thank you for the $50. He said frogs are cool. Yes, they are wonderful. Okay, let's see more questions. That's a question that I usually save to the end. But Zasa asked, what's the best thing that we can do to help frogs in our own gardens?
In your own gardens, well, you can create a wildlife pond. Myself and my partner recently dug a pond in her mom's backyard, and had some fun making a little wildlife habitat. In a lot of urban areas where there isn't much habitat left, you'd be amazed how much wildlife you can attract and what good that can do, even in your own little backyard if you have one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, and like other conservationists have said, just talking about these issues, telling your friends that you care about these things, that there's problems out there that we don't hear about very often. Yeah, at the end of the day, these are huge problems, and sometimes, government policy and things in faraway rainforests, but it all starts at home and talking about it, and being aware and caring.
Yeah, absolutely. Another hard question that people always ask our guests is, do you have a favorite frog? Favorite species of frog?
Oh, yeah, that's a hard one. I, I, so I have a go-to species in Honduras just because they're so near and dear, and it's called the Casuco spike thumb frog. It also has a really fun scientific name. It's called Plectrohyla. Um,
Wow.
and they're about 2 inches long. They're kind of brown, but they have black spots surrounded by like neon green.
Mm-hmm.
and they have these second big thumbs, which they kind of like fight each other with. And they're only found in this one cloud forest where I work, so they were pretty special to me.
How cool. I'm looking at, I have your pictures pulled up from your website. Did you take these photos of Meet the Frogs?
Yes.
Oh, these are so cool.
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. So you guys mainly focus on these 3 species then, correct?
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of the problem, is that there are probably so many species already that need the kind of support that we're hoping and trying to do,
Mm-hmm.
but not a lot of resources, and especially in the places that need it the most. Um, there's about 30 some odd species of amphibians just in this one place where we work, but we picked these 3 because they were the most infected, the most rare and endangered. But we know more species need this help, so we're just hoping that if we can get things right for a few species and not spread ourselves too thin,
Mm-hmm.
that we can hopefully create a method and a process that other people could try to emulate and help the species that they can help.
Great. SMK tipped $30. Thank you. And then Sketty asked a question. Actually, I just read off chat, but I think it's a good one. Sketty said, have any species already gone extinct due to this issue? So due to chytrid.
Yes. So there was a study that came out around last year, I believe, and for many years, people were quoting an estimate of about 200 dog species that have gone extinct because of chytrid.
Mm-hmm.
But a recent revision now estimates that to be closer to, sorry, back up. 200 species that had declined and or went extinct.
Okay.
There wasn't much known about precisely how many species are extinct. But a recent estimate says that probably at least 100 species have gone extinct because of chytrid, and at least 500 species have been negatively impacted. And that's just what we know. Okay. So it's really hard to study things that are already rare and uncommon and disappearing. So these are just the things that we know enough about to say this much about.
Right.
So, of the other 7,000 species, there's probably a lot more damage that's being done that we don't have people out there watching all the time. So yeah, and just a couple of days ago, the IUCN Red List, which is a good place to look up conservation evaluations of different species, just released its new 2020 update, and another 30 species around the world have been said to have gone extinct, and 3 of those are frogs. So yeah, it's happening right in front of us.
Jeez. Thank you for that question. That was a good question to put it all in perspective. Courtney tipped $50. Sleep also tipped $50. Courtney tipped a question with her donation. Thank you, Court. She said, "Where did you get your frog mug? We need to know."
To be quite honest, it was a gift many years ago, and I don't know where it came from.
It's so cute.
I have seen some really good ones online, though.
Yeah, I bet.
But I also have a really cool frog hat. I wasn't wearing it right now.
Oh, but you should wear it. That's awesome.
But
nice. Yeah. I love that.
My partner made this for me, so.
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh, how cute.
Yeah.
It's like a little hug all the time.
Yeah.
I have a question.
My comfort frog.
I've seen a couple related questions, but I'll reword it because I've been wondering about it too. Do you have a position on people having frogs as pets then? Because I know that the trade can be super damaging, but what is your take on that?
So I know this is a bit controversial.
Right.
And I will caveat too with, we didn't talk about it here, but a lot of my past official work, like a lot of the work I do with the frogs is, volunteer in my own time and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So my real job, like for which I was getting paid for a long time, I worked with the U.S. government, with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, regulating the wildlife trade, trying to prevent smuggling, protecting endangered species. And we hear all the arguments on all the sides for and against having pets and commercializing wildlife. Mm-hmm. And as a scientist, I'd like to look at the data. And if an activity is not hurting a species, then if it's allowed, it's allowed. But personally, I will share some personal thoughts here. Mm-hmm. That I have personally seen the benefit of people having pets.
Okay.
I myself a lot of the reason that I care so much about the animals that I study and research is because as a kid, I had some of them as pets, and they just blew my mind, and they were fascinating, and I loved them.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's hard for me ethically to say that people shouldn't have them as pets
Right.
because I know how much it meant to me and how much it affected my life. But I think it's just really important that if you're going to consider getting a pet, that you do your research, you do your homework,
Right.
you know where it's coming from, you know how to take care of it, you know how much it's going to cost at the end of the day to keep it healthy, and you don't end up in a bad situation for yourself or the animal.
Okay.
And just be responsible.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Okay, thank you for those questions. I know a lot of you asked something similar, so I appreciate that answer. I've asked you a couple hard questions today. Thank you. Okay, so we got about 10 minutes left, so I'll ask some of these. People always ask these questions. Mork asked, "How can I get started in your field as a high schooler?"
I'm glad you asked because I started when I was in high school. Um, I had a lot of fortunate circumstances, friends and family that encouraged my interests and got me eventually connected with some conservation work, volunteering during the summers. But to me, what's made all the difference is networking and reaching out to people and seeing what you like and what you don't like. And that could start by, for example, going on the internet, looking up what people in your area study, what you're interested in, what conservation organizations are around that you could volunteer with, or nature centers. Just get involved. And, the more you do that, the more people you talk to, the more likely it is that opportunities will open up for you down the line. But yeah, I mean, high school, definitely a good time to start.
Right. Awesome. Um, let's see. There was another question that was similar that I'm going to try to find here. Slime asked, any advice on going to graduate school? So we'll move up a little bit.
So, I am a bit of a different circumstance where, yes, I went to graduate school, but I didn't go right after I finished my undergraduate, like most of my friends and colleagues have. It seems typical that, you go get your undergraduate degree,
Right.
and then you go get your master's or your PhD. After I got my undergraduate degree in biology, that's when I started working with fish and wildlife. I was doing my frog research nights and weekends and summers on the side. And I was happy. I didn't see a need or a reason to go back to grad school. And it wasn't until I don't know if it was 7 years later that I decided to go back to school. And one thing my biggest piece of advice is really think about it and make sure it's going to help get you where you want to go.
Okay.
I know so many people that went to grad school because they didn't know what to do next or what they wanted to do and just felt like it was the right thing to do. A lot of people are like would tell me, "Oh, you're smart. Why aren't you getting a PhD?" Like, well, is it getting me where I want to go? I'm already happy.
Right.
And I know a lot of people that got stuck by getting halfway through the grad school and then realizing it wasn't for them. And so I just think about where you want to end up.
Okay.
And then kind of backtrack, what do you need to get there? And in many cases, grad school might be required or desirable, but not always. I know plenty of people who didn't go to grad school and are really happy doing what they love. So there's many different ways of getting where you want to go. So just don't think you have to go one certain path.
That's great advice. Thank you. FX tipped $10, Revive with $10, Hamish with $3, and Aurora with $20.
Thank you.
That got us to over 2K, so we're at $2,026.83. I usually like to close up with, you kind of already touched on it before. I don't remember what the question was, but about frogs in your backyard. But how can these folks that aren't necessarily biologists, aren't necessarily in the field, what can they do best to support you guys, to support frogs, to support amphibian conservation? What's your advice for that?
I mean, you can support us through, sharing our posts, sharing our videos, talking about us. It doesn't have to be donations. If you can't, do donations, that's fine. There's, just lots of ways of helping out by just showing support and having people know that we exist and what we care about. And yeah, and even things like I like creative stuff like artwork.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we love getting submissions of like frog themed artwork, and for a while we've been putting it on our website. We're a little behind. We haven't had much social media help lately, meaning me. But you know, we're going to make it a point to start updating things more frequently. And something that I thought was really fun was just people contributing artwork that was inspired by frogs or you know anything like that, and that's a way of communicating. So yeah.
Very cool.
Also, I just want to say, Maya, like I mentioned to you before, that I'm so grateful for you having me. And speaking to all of you out there, I think these social media platforms are just so important and so amazing. And especially, you know, scientists and academics don't often think of things like Twitch and Discord and other
Right.
places
Right.
with having people that care about the things that we care about. And it's just so meaningful and refreshing to see all of you out there and be reminded that like what we're doing matters to us but also to you, and that's really special, so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so it feels so productive and wonderful to bring new people in to the conservation world and help more people care about frogs. We've had so many species that I know so little about, and all of our viewers know so little about, and now they think they're the coolest things ever. Like we had like leafy sea dragons and red panda. A lot of people know red
Oh,
pandas, but
oh, I love leafy sea dragons
yeah,
so much.
it was a really cool episode. We've had lots of really cool ones. I also have to look at I already forgot the name of it. It was the amphibian that you said that started with a C, and I know nothing about them. Sicilians?
Oh, Sicilians.
Yeah.
Yeah,
These are
yeah,
so
they're
cool.
wild. It looks like a giant jazzy earthworm
Yeah,
that
it
got like
does.
dressed up for a party.
Very cool. Well, I need to
Yeah.
look into these. I think these would be really neat too, maybe. Echo with $5. Thank you so much. So we're at $2,031.83, and we're about ready to
Thank
close
you.
up here. Is there anything else that you want to tell everybody? Anything you want to talk about? We're at actually about 3,600 viewers, which is a lot more than normal. So very
Wow.
cool.
Sure, yeah. I do want to give a shout out to all the people I work with and help me because, you know, it's a team of, you know, 5, 6, 7 of us. We're all just friends doing the most we can on our own time, and some zoos supporting us, especially the Omaha Hammer-Dorley Zoo and Aquarium. They're our longtime partner, keeping us alive at the moment. Um, but you know, also my partner Brandon Reeves and Ruth and Katie and Sarah. You know, I'm a very vocal, active social media person, so
Mm-hmm.
people often look at me as Hark and whatnot. But really, it's a team of us, and that also goes for our friends in Honduras. It's just, you know, Carlos and a lot of people are keeping this, you know, moving forward, and I'm just talking about it loudly, but yeah, there's a whole team
Right.
doing this.
Well, that's wonderful. Hopefully we got $2,031, so hopefully that helps you guys out a little bit. But
Very much.
I'm so glad that that you were able to come on today and talk about all this. It's one of those crises that people don't know much about, and now a lot more people know about it. So that's awesome. That's what it's for. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Yes, thank
Scott
you so
tipped
much.
$1 and not tipped $19.55. I'm gonna do. We have a little quiz thing that I'll do at the end here, and I'll do an outro, and then I will send you the final amount of what the donations are. You'll probably see them because it's going to you guys, but I'll send it to you anyway.
Thank you.
I'll message you on Twitter, so I'll be in touch very shortly.
Thank you all so much.
All right, thank you. It's so nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Also, if anyone else still has, you know, questions or wants to talk afterwards,
Uh-huh.
you know, I am more than happy for you guys to reach out to me personally. Like, go for it.
All right, there you go, guys. So you can do command guest if you'd like to be directed to his socials. They're really great. Okay, I will speak to you
Cool.
soon. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too. I told you you guys would like him. Geology rocks at the $50. Thank you so much. $2,102.55. He is so nice. That was so cool. Brilliant podcast. They end up being my favorite ones. The ones with the underrepresented groups of species. And who knew that it was such a problem, right? Like, did anybody know about Kitrid before this podcast? Because I did not, which is crazy because I should, but I didn't. Super serious stuff. I'm really glad that he got to come on today. Okay, so Twitch is an untapped reservoir for doing good. Quiz time. All right, 5 questions based on my conversation today with Dr. Kolby. People claps in chat for Chuck for putting together our quiz every week. Podcast team keeps this thing afloat. Solorion with $50. Or with $50. Come on, dude. Thank you so much. Yeah, like same with what Dr. Kolby said. We're the ones talking about it loudly, but there's a whole team that's behind the production of this whole thing. So big shout outs to the podcast team. Thank you for making this production what it is. It's wonderful. This podcast is the best thing ever. It's so cool. This is so cool. It's so cool that we get to talk about all this stuff and people are listening. Nim with the host too. If you're still here from that host, hey, welcome. Every Friday, conservationcast.com. Tom Foolery, thank you for the Twitch primes. Thank you for the subs throughout this podcast. I know I don't read out the subs because I'm talking, but I do see them and I appreciate them. So thank you so much. Okay, how the quiz works. You can do command quiz if you need instructions. I will send the quiz out to you guys, and you have to enable access so that I know what your username is when you answer them. If you do command quiz, it'll take you to my website. It'll give you some instructions. You can do it on Android. You can do it on an iPhone. You can do it on your computer. It works for all of it. So here we go. I'm going to need a minute to create the quiz because I have to do this manually. Again, 5 questions, 20 seconds per question. If you get the questions right the fastest, you win the quiz. So it's on a point system. Scott with $1.45. Seishuku with $50. Thank you so much. If you win the quiz and you're not already subbed to my channel, I will gift you a sub to my channel. If you are a sub, I will gift you a sub to a channel of your choice on Twitch, or you can ask me to donate an additional $5 to Hark today. Okay, so give me a couple minutes so that I can copy paste these questions that Chuck wrote into our quiz kit, and I will be back. Command quiz if you need instructions. Here you go. Give me a minute. Lots with $50. All right. Now give me a minute. Thank you so much, Lots. quiz is ready to go. Are you ready to go? Green Geeks with $30. Thank you for your consistent support of this podcast. I really appreciate it. For the animals, people happy. All right, folks. We got a quiz. I will read out the questions before the questions get to you. So the first question, again, please click enable access so that I know who you are, because if you don't, it'll show up as a number, so you won't be able to win, even if you do the best on it. The first question is, what is the name of the fungus that Dr. Kolby talked about today on the podcast? It's sending the rules to you guys, so it's going to take a minute. Don't put the answer in chat. Hey guys, don't forget to enable the access. Am I saying that incorrectly? It's snowing? Oh, cool. I can't see it. Okay, is the name penicillium? Is it chytrid? Is it COVID? Or is it shiitake mushroom? Shiitake mushroom. It had a redesign? Really? Oh. Cool. Okay, sorry, focus. Who got that right? Reveal answer. The correct answer is chytrid. 273 people got that correct. Well done. Who got that right the fastest, though? That was the easiest question that we'll have on the quiz. It'll warm up. Are you kidding me? This is broken. No way. This is broken. Unless you guys all cannot listen. All right, we're just going to move on. Oh my gosh. Okay, next question. The next question is, how many amphibian species can be affected by chytrid? Is it around 100? Is it nearly 1,000? Is it nearly 8,000? Or is it around 5,000? Do 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 do. 3, 2, 1. The correct answer is nearly 8,000. It's very loud in the house today. Lots of you got that right. I see lots of easy claps, but who got it right the fastest, please? 239 people got that correct. Well done. Harder question. You guys can't hear that? That's good. It was loud the whole podcast. I was trying to figure out who's here. I think there might be people here. Oh, there are maids here. All right, congratulations, Terp. Emlaw is in 6th, but is somehow in the lead. Because of what's going on today. All right, question number 3. Conch with $6.06. Thank you so much. Haze. The next question is, how can frogs directly benefit humans in lesser developed countries? We talked about this today. Can they not help them? They do nothing. They're useless, Smile. Home defense. Do they build houses? Or do they prevent the spread of insect-based diseases? What do you think? LP misclicked. Hayes thinks that they build houses. The correct answer is that they prevent the spread of insect-based diseases. 488 people got that correct. Well done. Most of you got that correct. Who got it correct the fastest? All right. Hayes is still in the lead, though. And then Warber. And then James. Interesting. The quiz does look really good. I'm looking at it at my stream manager. I don't usually look at it, but that's actually sick. Okay. Next question. I think we got 2 more. Yes. Okay. Next question. What caused chytrid to evolve and become so deadly to frogs and other amphibians? Was it mad scientists? It hasn't evolved. It's how it has naturally always been. Because of magic or because of humans? Chuck went easy on you guys this week. I'm not gonna lie. But Max still misclicked. It's like, did you really leave when we answered that question? Oh, did you hear that? No. I hear Miz. I bought Miz a burrito and he woke up and he ate half of it in his bed and then he left it and she threw it away and Matt was like, no, my burrito. Humans is the correct answer. 471 people got that correct. Who got that correct the fastest? We'll just do Payne. Got it correct the fastest. Contestant number 262 is in the lead, but it doesn't matter. James Harden is in the lead, followed by Warber, then Haste, then Emlaw, then Matthew, then G-Wall. Last question. Can somebody pull ahead? How many species of frogs have gone extinct because of chytrid? None, Smile. Only 5, less than 50, or at least 100. Eight, 7, 6. Rowdy with the $9.94. Thank you so much. $2,350 flat. Beautiful number. Beautiful. At least 100 is the correct answer. Which is very sad. Very sad answer. At least 100 species have gone extinct because of chytrid. Super serious stuff. Okay, drum roll, please. Who won the quiz? Ugh. James Harden. Congratulations. You won the quiz. This was one of the easiest quizzes that we've had, I think. Probably, maybe. Congratulations, James. G-Wall in a close third, second. All right, James is subbed, right? I'm pretty sure James is subbed. I don't see him though. I don't know what color he is. Isn't he yellow? I don't know. I still don't see him. I'm waiting. Okay, James, do you want a gifted sub to another channel or do you want $5? An additional $5 donated to donate the extra $5 and I'll throw in 20. Brilliant. All right, James, let's go. Hold on. Here we go. I'm donating. 5. Okay. James with the $20. Thank you so much. And I'm doing my 2-factor. Give me a second. Da, 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 da. All right. I am a woman of my word. Maya with the $25 donation. Good news is I finally figured out how to close my Instagram DMs. And that's because I couldn't close them because my account was a business account. So I changed it to a creator account and now I can close them. So now they're closed, which is actually big. I'm really excited about it. Adept helped me figure that out. Gustav tipped $1, said, I participated in the quiz, but enabled access, but the quiz never showed on my screen. Oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes it bugs. I don't know. It's a lot of people trying to participate in it, so I'm sorry about that. It's out of my control. Riz, thank you for the 563. It does all right for its purpose, but all right. $2,401.63 tonight for Hark. Thank you guys so much. The return of the podcast. Okay, tell me this is not the coolest. I'm anti-leak here. How do you guys feel about this? Isn't this beautiful? I love it so much. Dion did such a good job. Locke did such a good job. We have our top donators up here as well. So I think that's pretty cool. And those will change, obviously, every podcast. But yeah, just amazing work from the production team of the Conservation Cast. Locke, Dion, Tara, Danny, Chuck, brilliant. Scott with the 137. Thank you so much. Okay. Wonderful team, wonderful podcast. I really appreciate you guys being here. We're back after a couple weeks out, but we will be in the new house soon, so my backdrop won't look as depressing. Somehow all the outlets stopped working in this room this morning. So E-Rob. Nathan, thank you for the $5. Chubby with $5. Okay. I'm trying to think of anything else I have to say today. My next stream will be Monday, I assume. I'll probably do an IRL with Ori. It depends on his weight. I don't know. Oh shoot, Housewives. Oh my god, is Housewives tomorrow? Why does this keep happening? The weeks go by so fast. But I thought we were doing something else tomorrow. If we're doing something else tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Yeah, there's no way we have Housewives because 3 of us are already supposed to be doing something together at 6. So, I don't know when the next Housewives is, alright? But my next stream for sure is Monday. And I'm not sure if it's going to be an IRL or a desktop yet. It honestly depends on if I get a bounty this weekend or not. So I'll let you guys know as it gets closer. Thank you for being here for the podcast. The growth on this channel in terms of viewership for this podcast means more to me than any of my other streams by a long shot, because the point of this podcast is to teach people and raise awareness and make more people care about what we're talking about. And Sluz with $100. Thank you so much. And to bring more people from a younger demographic that aren't necessarily interested already and aren't necessarily looking for information already about conservation, about these things, is so productive. And it's so cool to bring more new people into it and to bring more people into caring about it. It means the world to me. So if you're new to the podcast, thank you so much for being here. If you donate to the podcast, thank you so much. It makes me so happy to call guests and say, like, we've already raised $500, and they're like, what? Like, what the heck? It really makes it more than worth their time to come on this podcast and to share what they're passionate about. These are just really good people doing really, really cool stuff that they're passionate about. So I'm honored to be able to give them this kind of platform, and it's only the kind of platform that it is because you guys are here and you guys are watching it. So thank you. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for your subs. Thank you for caring. Means the world to me. I'm going to play and by I mean my outro video here. And I will set up a raid also, but here we go. Oh, maybe I'm not going to play the outro. Do I have the outro? Does somebody have the outro? I don't know where the outro is. Okay. The link's broken. Alright, I'm just gonna raid somebody. Who is live? Raid Soda? I don't think Soda needs my raid. Actually, you know who I'm gonna raid? Casey. I love Casey Tron. I think she's so funny, and I want to be friends with her, so I'm rating her. Thank you guys again for watching. I raid Simply and all the guys in the house all the time. I'm raiding Casey. Welcome again, Dion, to the team. That's a really big deal. He's done really great work with graphics already, so we're super, super excited to have him. And yeah, I will see you next week for the podcast. Next week's guest is already planned out. It's super, super interesting too. Another one of these underrepresented groups of species. So really excited about that too. But I'll announce that on Monday's stream probably. So come watch on Monday if you're curious. Last minute donation from It's Mutual, another $100. So we're at $2,613 flat today for Hark. Insane donations. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. I'll see you on Matt's stream if you watch Matt's stream. Otherwise, I will see you on Monday. Go say hi to Casey. I love you guys. See you later.